Hello, everyone. I am so excited. I could barely sleep last night because I was so excited about this. Hi, Geoffrey. How are you?
Hey, Sunny.
I'm
Good to be here. Thanks
I'm
for
so
having me on
happy to
again.
have you here. Oh my gosh, anytime, Geoffrey. I love telling your story. I'm so excited to share this update. It's very surreal. I'm sure it's more surreal for you than it is for me. But I'm pumped. So I want to dive
Yeah.
into it because I want to be respectful of your time. And if you're here, so happy to have you here. And first and foremost, be sure to give this a like. Be sure to comment below if you remember Geoffrey's part one of his story back in September. Put the word avocado in the comments.
Inside joke forever.
Inside joke forever. And then be sure to share it out as well, because we do want to make sure that as many people can see this as possible. I'm just conferring with my team to make sure we're all good on the AV. Looks like we are all set to go. So drop a comment with where you're tuning in from. Drop a comment with avocado if you remember Geoffrey and his part one of his story. And today we're doing part two, which is, it seems like it really happened quite quickly, but it's definitely been a process to get here. So, as a little reminder, I know it's weird for me to do your bio while you're sitting here listening to me, but I'm going to do it anyways. As a reminder of who Geoffrey is and his story. So Geoffrey is one of my clients in the Authority Accelerator. Geoffrey has dedicated his whole life to helping men in long-term relationships and marriages who are on the brink of divorce, separation, or the end of their relationship to become the best versions of themselves, to begin healing and eventually creating the most rewarding relationship beyond their wildest dreams and imaginations. And I have watched Geoffrey transform his clients, and the results that he gets for people are really, truly phenomenal. So it's an honor for me to guide you on the process to impacting more people. So Geoffrey and I met, I mean, it was a while ago now, but 18 months ago, Geoffrey launched his program, launched his online course. And at the time when we first spoke, I will never forget the conversation. You had no business, you had no clients, and you had no course. And
Yep.
some of you might remember, if you weren't on part one of this story, that one of the things that Geoffrey said was, at the time, he was so in such dire straits financially, he couldn't even afford avocados. So that line really stuck out for people. And it's just incredible to see how far you've come. So in end of September, early October, we met. And at that point, you had gone from zero to $40,000 a month consistently. Today, you are now doing between $100,000 to $150,000 per month. And thus far, Geoffrey, where are you at right now in terms of revenue for your business?
So I think we're at 1.2 million so far in 18 months. So far this year, we're at 950K just this year alone, and it's only August 23rd right now. So well over a million, I think, by the end of the year.
How do you feel?
I don't think it's processed yet, even now. I think I do go to restaurants sometimes and I go like, oh, $200 meal. I still go, ooh, that's expensive. But we can definitely afford that. I don't think my brain grasps the concept of money yet, or how much money this actually is yet. That's the best answer, but the life hasn't really changed for us. I mean, we're still doing our program, we're still revamping it, we're still collecting testimonials, we're still working with clients. So the day-to-day hasn't really changed. It's just that when you finish work and you're reflecting on it, it does kind of feel surreal, for sure.
It's definitely surreal. And I mean, for me, just being able to watch this journey with you and be here from, I told you Muggsy was going to bark. Muggsy. Geoffrey and I talked about this. I said I have treats on my desk to make sure he doesn't bark, but he's doing it anyways.
Yeah.
We're just going to let him do his thing. God bless Muggsy. So I think the thing for me is I remember that first conversation we had so vividly. And I do say this, I do have a sixth sense for people. And I remember when we spoke, I said to you, I know you're going to do so well. But to really paint the picture, let's go back to that conversation and where you were at and what you had tried and why you were so desperate to get this thing going.
By the way, before I answer that, I have a question for you. Do you remember what I asked you on that call? I asked you.
I don't think so.
One of the biggest fears I have, Sunny, is I launch this thing and I get crickets. Remember that? And then you said, no, you're not going to get that.
And I remember the confidence I had.
Yeah. And that was how low my bar was. Like, anything but crickets is good. And so at that point, when we met, again, zero business, zero audience, no revenues. And I'm in the relationship niche. And so this is a niche where you look at all the YouTubers out there on this niche, they have degrees, they have like 10 years of experience, they're counselors, they're therapists. And I didn't have that. And so at that point in time, I've tried writing a book, and I gave up midway because I was like, I don't even know how to publish this thing. I don't know how to market this thing. I tried writing a blog for 4 to 6 months and had no traction. I tried Facebook advertising. My account got shut down before I even launched my first ad because I'm in the relationship niche, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you know why? Because I remember that was something that you had mentioned when we spoke, because there is a big misconception that if you can just run ads, you're going to be able to grow a business. But ad accounts do get shut down. Things happen. So do you know why it was shut down for you?
No, I literally created the Facebook account, the business account, and then 24 hours later, it was shut down. And they didn't give any reason. It just says your account violated policies. You cannot even appeal it. You cannot even, there's no support button you can press, And I also tried speaking engagements even. The clients I got from there was really not that great. And I think a big part of the issue too was I didn't have any authority, didn't have any degrees to speak for. And I looked like I was still in college. And so I'm coaching guys or I'm supposed to coach guys who are 40, 45, double my age. So they look at me and they go like, what does this guy know? Even when we talk about my current 2 hires that I have. So I only hire my clients. And they told me the story when they first saw me. They saw me for 3 months in their feed and they didn't click on me because they thought, what does this guy know? And so just all that stuff combined, just not having any marketing channels for me to push myself in. The fact that I look young and I look like I'm inexperienced, no authority, no social proof really. I mean, it was hard to think I could be here. I mean, I can't even imagine this right now. So
I mean, you're here.
That was where I was. Yeah.
It was funny. It was funny because we got onto the call and I said, can you see the graphic in the background? And he said, yeah, it says how you went from 0 to $1 million in course sales in 18 months. And I said, yeah, that's you. He goes, that is me. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible to have watched your journey. And I think one of the things that it's a true testament to you actually getting here. And what I wanted to let you all know is we're going to actually do the 5 biggest takeaways that Geoffrey has had from going from 0 to $1 million in revenue, now 1.2. Just to note that in there, 1.2 million in revenue in 18 months. In this training today. But I think one of the things I wanted to say to you, which is a huge kudos, is you got into the Authority Accelerator program and you ran with it and you implemented so incredibly well down to a T. And I always say that it's like, oh, what's your success rate? I'm like, our success rate is if you do the work and you follow it to a T, you're going to be successful. You're going to get exactly what you want. Can you speak to that process for you? Because I know you had tried other things in the past. I know you had done other programs in the past. What sort of made the difference for you when it came to the Authority Accelerator? I
think when I joined your course, I knew YouTube was the way because, this whole niche is, the concepts in this niche are very difficult to explain. Like, it's not just like a tactical, here's how to work Excel or whatever it is. I can't just show people. It's a very soft mindset. It's a very vague thing. And I think YouTube allowed me to go deeper into my philosophies, showing people my principles. And I think that was crucial in building trust for people. I could not have imagined building this much trust with people if I was just writing blogs, even just writing a book. I could not have imagined that. And I think just that faith alone of, okay, I know the principles I'm talking about worked for me. It worked for a lot of people in my life. And the first principles of it make sense. So I'm going to make these videos. And even though it was getting like 30 views, 50 views at a point in time, and most of it was from my friends, I knew it was eventually someone's going to pick it up. And at that point in time, I was also promoting my videos a lot on Facebook groups and forums here and there. Yeah, just getting as many eyeballs as I can, essentially. And then that led to the initial set of clients and really strong believers, because what I talk about was very, very different, very antithetical, I guess, to what other people talk about. And I think YouTube allowed me to set myself apart there, which is amazing.
It is really amazing. And it is because this is such a crowded space and a crowded niche. And it's something where you could look at it and be like, there's just no way. There's no way I'm going to be able to compete. But I've now watched you. And we have many other clients who are in this niche. I've watched Apollonia Ponce, who's also in this niche, sort of on the flip side. She's just absolutely soared. She's got $1 million business as well. I mean, you have absolutely crushed it. And I think the thing that people really need to understand, and if you're sitting here watching this and you're going, well, yeah, but he probably has like 100,000 subscribers. That's not the case. And I am all about your dollar per subscriber. And I think that's the best sort of calculation of how much your audience trusts you. You don't need to have a big audience of subscribers in order to do really well. So can you break down those numbers for us, just so people aren't sitting here thinking, oh, he must have a huge audience? And you started from zero, correct?
Yeah, I started from zero. I would say we broke our first 100K month when we only had 11,000 subscribers. We are now at around 18,000. We just hit 18,000 last night. And we're hitting 130 to 150. Now, if we even equate that to dollar per view, a YouTube view, we're getting like $1 per YouTube view, because we right now have about 1.2 million views on our channel. We have 1.2 million revenues. But I think the important part also is that, it's not, I think I like the new iteration of your program that you have, Sunny, because it's not just about tricking the algorithm. Mm-mm. You're also focusing more on the art of creating value for clients. Right? And I think what allows us to make such a big impact and resonate so well with our audience, despite the small number of audiences, whenever we make a video, we always make it a point to make people feel very deeply understood, right? If people can look at the video and goes, that's me, and this guy knows what he's talking about because I feel like he's a fly on the wall, you gain their trust. And if you do that every single video, every single time, you gain their trust. It's I always say to my team members, even, it's like persuasion is not about telling people who you are or convincing them. This is about making people feel understood. Right? If I go to a doctor, if they can diagnose what I have really, really well, they understand me and I felt understood, I'm going to trust that guy. It doesn't matter how many degrees he has, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. And I think that's where we specialize in is we built this business because we understood what the problems were. And we build trust because we can explain to people, like, this is what your problems are. And when we present the solutions, people trust us as well because they know, hey, you guys have been through this before as well.
Absolutely. You're close to the problem. And you said something there that I wanted to touch on, which is we talk about this often in the Authority Accelerator. I feel like a broken record if you are one of our clients, which I know there are a few here. I always say you're either a prescription or you're a vitamin business. And vitamin businesses don't really attract clients because it's a nice to have. It's like if you're taking your vitamins in the morning, you might forget about them. But a prescription is you got to take it in order to get better or cure or heal from whatever it is that you're dealing with. And so we always tell our clients, create a prescription business, create the kind of business that when you go to the doctor, you need to get the right thing in order to cure, heal, etc. And you have created, in a space that's very competitive, a prescription business because you know your client inside and out, which also has given you that success on YouTube as well, because we talk about this, and you mentioned it in the new iteration of our program. The basic elements of succeeding on YouTube and really any social media platform is the very first piece is knowing your ideal client, viewer, follower inside and out. When you do, and when you make relevant content for your ideal viewer, client, or follower, the algorithm then knows who you're trying to attract and what you want to be known for. And so then it uses its internal traffic sources to push you to more of those people and more of your ideal viewers and clients. And so I want to ask you about your growth and like the ad spend piece of this in a second. But I also wanted to make sure that I mentioned, because there's a lot more people who have just joined us. So welcome if you're just tuning in, and I wanted to do a bit of a recap. This is Geoffrey. Geoffrey is a member of our Authority Accelerator program. He has gone from zero, no business, no authority, no course, no audience 18 months ago, to now a $1.2 million online course business in the relationship space. And so happy for him, so excited for him. And if you are interested in the Authority Accelerator, I'm going to drop the link right now. You can check out. So go to sunnylenarduzzi.com/apply. I'll put it into the comments as well, so you can take a look. But what I wanted to ask you about is, are you running any ads at this point, or has this all been organic?
All organic. I don't think we plan on running any ads at all. The problem we have right now, Sunny, is we don't have enough call slots. We don't have enough salespeople. So if we do ads right now, it's just going to dilute the quality of leads we have, and we're closing right now at close to 100%. So we take 25 calls a week, and if we get one no sale in that 25, that's a bad week. Because there's just such hot audiences. They know me so well. Like these people go to the sales calls, and they can sometimes, what's really funny is they would have my posters on their wall. They would cite my quotes during the sales calls, and it's just, they're so ready to get the program. And I don't think I want to dilute that with ads right now.
And that, like, I just need everybody here to let that soak in, because I know there are people here right now who are like, oh, well, you got to run ads to grow $1 million business. No, you don't, my friend. No, you don't. And I didn't run ads for the first couple of years of my business, because there is a huge difference between a lead that comes in from cold traffic or even retargeting on ads versus a YouTube client and lead. The reason their close rate is so high, first of all, you worked your butt off for it, but your close rate is so high because you deliver such value in your YouTube videos that your audience is sitting there. And this is why YouTube is the best platform, in my opinion. They're in pain. They're searching for a topic that you can help them solve. So they already have intent. It's not like you're just showing up in their feed being like, you want to save your marriage? No, these people are actively searching for, I'm on the brink of divorce. How do I save my marriage? And you show up. They then are on YouTube. So their intent is to watch a long video. They're not just watching a 20-second video or reading or scrolling a caption. They're actually invested and taking time out of their life. So by the time they finish your video, they are ripe. They are ready to become a client. And that's just a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. And I think too, it takes usually a month to 3 months for our clients to really to watch my videos and get to know me so well to the point where they schedule the call and become that hot lead. And the other thing too you mentioned, which is great, is there's all these philosophies people have around like, oh, your YouTube video length needs to be like 5 to 12 minutes or whatever. My videos are like 20 plus minutes. And the way we see it is, I don't care about the views. If you don't want to watch it, you're going to be a terrible client anyway. But if you want to stick through 20 minutes and you want to learn something, and because there's no fluff in the videos, if you want to learn something, great, let's keep going. So I think what's also important is knowing the opinions of buyers and the serious people versus the opinions of non-buyers and non-serious people. The noise versus the signal, right? Because we get so much hate mail too. I don't really care about those. I don't really care about their opinions. I don't really care about what they say or what's wrong with the funnel, whatever it is. I care about, am I delivering my clients results? And what do the clients need? That's it.
Absolutely. And that comes with the territory of anything that anybody ever does. And I actually remember having a conversation with you about this. I think it was somebody who, was not maybe your best client, and they were causing a lot of issues, and they asked for a refund maybe or something like that. And this was like 6 months ago, I think, or something along those lines. And I remember having the conversation with you and just saying, if they're not going to do the work, it's a lose-lose on both sides. You want the clients who are invested. You want the clients who are going to get the results, because at the end of the day, the only way that a business can stand the test of time and create what we call a legacy business, which means that you're creating an impact that's going to outlast you, is to get results. You have to transform people. And your
Yeah.
whole entire course has to be dedicated to that transformation. And if people aren't invested in getting that transformation for themselves, you don't need to have them in their program.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing to think about too, and for the people listening here too, is about the course itself, right? So you buy a lot of courses sometimes, especially in the relationship niche. They have like 4 hours of content on there, which is okay, I guess, but you're not going to save your relationship in 4 hours with 4 hours of content. We currently have spent 20 weeks so far building our new version of our course, and we're planning on spending another 33 weeks to really finish it. It's going to be a very comprehensive course, all designed to, like, we just listen to what our clients really need, what their struggles are, and we obsess about our clients. And that's it. Like, if you obsess about your clients, you get video ideas, you get course ideas, you get results, you get everything. If you just obsess about the clients, that's the one thing you should focus on, and that's it.
Well, and you and I are very aligned on that. And that is one of my basic principles of building any kind of business. And it's interesting to me that it does get so lost, but I do think that this entire social media online world sometimes can clutter that message, because you think you got to have the audience, you got to have the brand, you have to be posting consistently to social media. It's just not about that. When you deliver results for people, do you know what they do? They want to go tell everyone they know, you got to listen to this guy. This guy is the best in the business. And obsessing over your clients creates long-term impact and results. And that long-term impact and results, that is your trust fund. That is what's going to keep you going when the market gets even more saturated, when there's even more competitors, when there is maybe a slower month. Your clients who have gotten results in that transformation, they're going to be the ones who are always there for you to say, I got your back. I'm going to send more people your way.
Yeah. And I think that thought alone was what carried me through the low months. So whenever we have a low week, a low month, I just think to myself, like, look at my clients. They're getting incredible results. They're giving me testimonials up the wazoo. It's eventually going to pick up. I don't have to worry. So that helps me sleep at night too. I'm not worried about low weeks, low days, whatever. I don't really care, because I know it's going to pick up eventually. Again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So let's get into these 5 key takeaways, because I'm very excited about this. There are so many people here. So thank you so much for being here. As I mentioned, Geoffrey is a member of our Authority Accelerator program, which we basically describe as a business in a box. And we take you from the very beginning of your course idea, or actually helping you develop your niche, all the way to launching and scaling your online course organically. And as you just heard, I'll just repeat it again for the people in the back. Geoffrey is now at $1.2 million in his business, not a single dime spent on ads. It's completely organic using this methodology. So if you're here and you're enjoying this, please hit that share button, hit the like button, and be sure to leave a comment with your biggest takeaways as well. And as I said, if you were here for part 1 of Geoffrey's story back in October, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the takeaways of this journey, because I'm beyond impressed, and I'm just so excited for you. All right, so let's dive into your 5 key takeaways. So the first thing that you shared with me when I asked you, okay, if you were to explain to somebody who maybe is at that 0 place where you were, you have no audience, you have no authority, you have no business, you have no course, and you're going from there to where you are now, which is $1.2 million in your course business, what do they need to know? So the first thing you said is your product and ideas have to be 10 times better than anything else out there. How do you kind of summarize that, and how do you do that?
Yeah. Obviously, easier said than done. I think the biggest hurdle I think people need to jump over is the fact that established players in the industry, so whenever you look at people with a lot of followers, etc., they may not always have the right principles, right? So to get specific into the relationship niche, the marriage niche, for example, there's 2 things that stands out. We hear terms like stonewalling and gaslighting a lot. And if you look for videos around this topic, they'll always say, oh, it's abuse. Don't run away from that, right? I actually have a very different philosophy to it, in a sense of, when you, Sunny, and me, I've probably stonewalled people all the time. I've avoided conversations. I've shut down conversations, not because I'm a bad person or I'm a narcissist, but usually because it's a self-preservation thing. I either don't feel safety or trust with the person to talk about it. I don't even know how to express it myself, maybe. It's too complex. Maybe I don't have the energy to do it. So it's more of a circumstantial problem rather than a character problem. So that's one example where I saw the market was saying this is a character problem, but it's really not. Now, to do that, you need to understand the first principles of everything that you talk about, how emotions form, in my case, how communication works, etc. And then use the first principles to really empathetically see when you see your competitors saying something, is it true or false? And the second part is really to get over the hurdle of having the courage to actually say something that goes against the grain. Another example of this is when our approach to emotions. We have this polarization in our program of you are either falling into what we call the surviving mindset or thriving mindset, right? When you're managing your emotions with a surviving mindset, what happens is something is happening and you're breathing, you're trying to use your willpower to keep yourself calm, basically. Well, you can only get so far. You're eventually going to get weighed down. But if you look at top athletes, top business performers out there, the more pressure they get, the more they rise. So it's not just surviving, that's a thriving mindset. And to do that, we have to have a very different view of how emotions form and how to work on your emotions and not try to fix your emotions after it has formed, but fix it before. Change the way you interpret the world, etc. But when you look at people with anger management courses, emotions management courses, etc., there's a lot of just this alpha male bravado type of philosophies where just toughen up, just be a man, just take it. I don't think that works for a lot of people, especially when things get really hard. And so that was another way that we went against the grain and really tried to make our business much better. So just summarize, and now I'm going in different directions here. One, understand the principles behind your business. Understand the principles behind every part of your business, and even just the mindset part as well. Second, when you look at developing your course or you look at your competitors, really pass things through those first principles and not think via referral-based thinking. What people are saying must be true. Then have the courage to actually say your piece. And when you say your piece, you will get to see quickly whether people resonate with it or not, and what parts of it people resonate with or not, and continue to craft your message from there. But you got to be antithetic. You got to go against the grain. You cannot just go in there, listen to some videos, and just follow what other people are saying.
Yeah, preach. I love that, and it's so true. And you can think about it as like antithetical. You can also think about it in the sense of what we talk about a lot inside the Authority Accelerator is external versus internal. So the example that I'll give here is anybody could create a course on how to start a dog walking company. I don't know, I'm picking something random. Anyone could create a course on that. If you watch enough YouTube videos, you read enough books, you can formulate a curriculum around it. How we help our clients create programs that are built to last and that truly differentiate yourself in the marketplace. And it doesn't matter how saturated it is or how many competitors you have. And you are living proof of that. You started from zero in a very, very, very competitive niche. Is you got to go internal and go to your own experience and the things that you've been through and the things that you believe wholeheartedly and your value systems, because they are inherently going to be different than all of the other stuff in the market. And that makes you uncopyable, because nobody has your experience in the same way.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is it also changes the way I do market research. So I know this goes against your program, but I actually do not watch any of my competitors' videos when I'm creating a topic, because once I watch someone's videos, I get tunnel vision into their thinking and I stop thinking outside the box or their box. So I haven't actually read a book about relationships, listened to videos in about 18 months, probably. I
mean, I can add to that. It doesn't entirely go against what we teach in the sense that my methodology as well is I actually don't watch a lot of competitors either. I never have, because I felt the same way. It would kind of convolute messaging. What I do recommend is writing from your experience, creating your content from your experience. Once you have it lined up and outlined, then take a look at what other people are doing and see if there's any gaps that you need to fill. But don't watch it first.
Exactly. Don't watch it first. I agree with that.
Because then you're going to be like, I I need to do what they're saying, and it influences you, and it allows the external to dictate the internal, and you never want to do that, because then you just become like everybody else. And it's very hard to differentiate yourself from other people in the marketplace. That is a very good tip to share, is write it from your own experience, write it from your own philosophies and values, and then to do your market research, compare it to the top ranking videos in that category, just to make sure that there aren't any gaps that you're maybe missing, or little pieces of information that you have a light bulb around and go, oh yeah, I do have a take on that as well, and I should include it, to make sure I have the most comprehensive training on this, which I know that that is a big piece of your strategy when it comes to creating content as well.
Yeah. And just last words on that first point too. For the people here who might think, oh, my niche is so well researched. There's like established, proven ways for people to do something. Well, first of all, if the current philosophies and principles works like perfectly, then you wouldn't have a market anyway. So you shouldn't pick that niche anyway. But the very fact that your niche exists means that there's something missing. There's something missing from the market that nobody has found yet. And it's your job to find it. And if you find it, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. But it has to be there.
Yes.
For that niche to exist, it has to be there. Yeah.
I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. And I think the next takeaway that you mentioned when we spoke is client results. We already kind of dove into this and talked about this, but I wanted to touch on this from a slightly different angle, because you mentioned this a few times at the beginning of your journey when we did have that first conversation, and you were like, Sunny, I just don't want to do this and hear crickets. And I said, you're not going to hear crickets. I promise you. I know this. You had to have had fears around the fact that there were other people, obviously, with the certifications, the degrees, the things that you felt like you were lacking. So in the early stages, when you don't have any client results, which you didn't, how did you move past that? And how did you make that your main focus and dedication, and leverage it to remove the imposter syndrome and remove the fears that there were other people in this space?
It's interesting. So when you talk about the relationship niche, I think most people think about dating and relationships, like dating and early stages of relationships. When we talk about marriages, I was actually me and I think 3 other people that are already really well established. I can, on YouTube at least. I mean, if you count books and everything, that's so many people. But on YouTube, there's really 3 players, 4 with me. And the funny thing was, everyone was always talking about quick results. I can get you this, save your relationship in 4 weeks, in 2 weeks, whatever it is. And we just took a very different approach to where we said, look, go down to the internal self. You don't have relationship problems. You have problems with the self that reflects in a relationship. That was just a market gap that we saw. And what's funny is the initial clients that we got, they were the ones who bought the other programs. It didn't work, of course, because it's too gimmicky. And when they heard my videos, they were like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. That's exactly what was missing from the other programs. So I think in the beginning, so before I even got any clients, any traction on YouTube, the conviction was just my own. I based my conviction on my first principles. And the analogy that I can give you here, the feeling is, imagine you're standing in a room and you have this massive iceberg in the middle of the room. And the room is like a -10 Celsius, whatever it is, below freezing point. And you have this hairdryer. So you plug in the hairdryer, you start heating up the room. 10 becomes 9, 8, 7, but you don't see the ice melting. But because you understand the principles behind physics, how heat works, you're convinced that one day it's going to work. Is that feeling for me? Is that conviction there? Now, once I started to get client results coming in, the focus shifted towards, okay, how can I make this resonate to how can I deepen this? So for example, in the first iteration of our program, we just taught the principles. Then we realized, okay, people were struggling to take these principles into life. So the second iteration was we gave a lot of examples, a lot of personal examples, a lot of client examples. Then as the program gets bigger, we realize, now it's getting to the point where people are having difficulty trying to synthesize the whole complexity of the program. So we introduce a new module on how to learn, how to create your mental map in a way. And we just kept going. We just put the product out there, looked at the client struggles, results, questions, etc. Went back to the drawing board, did the same thing, and repeat that.
Absolutely. And that is, we talk about that as we're supporting our clients and building their programs, is that it's a constant evolution. And you got to test fast, because otherwise, if it's just hypothesized in your head and you don't actually put it out into the world, you don't really know what's going to work. And you also don't know how to fix it, how to make it better. But if you have the first principles of what you know is going to get them to a transformation, you're still going to get them results. And then you can just make those results even better, deeper, longer lasting, more transformative. And I know that before you had gotten into the Authority Accelerator, you had spent a couple years trying to formulate a program, had you not?
Mostly trying to write books and so on.
Right.
Blogs and books and so on.
Yeah.
Books are very hard to write.
They're very hard to write. Now, though, I bet you if you tried to write a book now, it'd be a lot easier because you have so much experience with clients.
But the problem is the personality doesn't show. So
Yes,
I don't think I will ever write a book because I think people fall in love with your personality, the way you talk, the emphasis you place. You can add some humor in there if you want, some comedic relief.
Yeah.
And just put emphasis in the right parts to make sure people remember it. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. People often ask when I'm going to write a book, and it's never been on the plans for me because I don't see it as being as effective as this. And also just my clients are my main focus and the results are my main focus. And so I feel like that would also just detract from what I'm trying to do. So I totally hear you on that. And then the next thing is something that we repeat a lot. And I know that I probably hammered this over your head a lot when you started the program, but be the scientist of your business. So what does that mean for you?
So a couple of things. So three things. One, I think it's about being data-driven. It's easy, I think, when you're starting out your business and you have so many puzzle pieces to fit, that you try to fit all the puzzle pieces at once. I think what really got us to work very well was in the first 6 months to a year, we had so many things to test, but we tested one thing at a time. And we went slow in the short term, but we grew fast because of it. Well, I think a lot of people don't have the patience to test slowly for the first 6 to 12 months and they test so many things. Well, the 12 months they get results and they fall into what I call like failure success, where you're successful, but you don't know how to replicate it. You don't know what what levers you can pull. And I think we never went through that phase. Now, the second thing is what happens to the part of the business that are more qualitative, where it's harder to measure. And this is also, you can try to quantify the qualitative as well. So for example, for our sales calls, before we make any changes to the scripts or before we make any changes to the funnel, we look at the qualitative feedback. And once we see patterns of a certain qualitative feedback happening, then we make changes. But if we don't make changes based on like one-offs and such like that. And the last thing I would say is asking yourself why a lot. So usually the problem that seems like a problem in the first place isn't really the root of the problem. There's something deeper there. So whenever we see a problem, we ask like, okay, why is that happening? And that usually leads to the next layer. Well, why is that happening? Next layer and next layer. And when you get to the lowest layer, you find this problem that when you solve it, it solves 10 other problems. That's what you want to solve. And so, it's not, I think building a business is not about making many decisions, just going ham with your heads on fire. And I think people have this notion that you just got to take violent action every single day. It's like, yes, but you take the violent action. But really, when you break down the life of an entrepreneur, it's making 1 or 2 decisions a day that really matters. If you're making more than 1 or 2 decisions a day, you're not boiling things down to its fundamental core. And then once you find that, go ham. So a lot of my days are actually thinking and strategizing and not really just producing all the time, right?
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with that more. And I think That's such a big piece that people don't often understand about being an entrepreneur, because it is glorified and the hustle is glorified. And I talk
Mm.
about this a lot because it really does grind my gears. And I mean, I'm a product of believing and buying into that for a long time until I hit burnout. And when I was at that place, I was making a fraction of the revenue that I'm making now and a fraction of the transformation, the results, and the impact that I'm making now. But I was working 20 million times harder.
Yeah.
And it didn't add up. And then I realized it was because I was diversifying my attention so much and my activities so much on a daily basis that by the time I actually got to the deep work, I couldn't focus and I couldn't give it my all. Whereas now I know exactly what I need to be doing on a daily basis. I know exactly what my focuses are on a daily basis. And I talk about this, and there's like the 4 priorities. And I'm like, guys, when you start this program, put this on your computer, put this on your phone, and put it on your wall, because those are the 4
Yeah.
things that you need to focus on every day. And it really does make a world of difference, because you could, as an entrepreneur, you could do a million things a day. We are built to work, but it doesn't make you more successful to do it that way.
No.
You said something interesting the last time we spoke. I asked you, how much has your workload changed? And that was when you had scaled from 0 to $40,000 a month. And you said, not really. Like, it hasn't really changed all that much. If I ask that same question today, how has your workload changed from going from 0 to $1 million in revenue? What does that look like for you?
It's actually lower now. Because I hire my clients, and so they can take care of a lot of day-to-day stuff, the sales calls, the rote things that keeps the business running. But the other big part to this is, when we built this program, we said to ourselves, I don't want to teach people. I don't want to give people fishes. I want to teach them how to fish.
Yes.
Right. And so whenever we built a program, and when we're scientifically trying to ask ourselves why, one of the questions we ask is, why aren't they helping themselves? What's missing from this program of why they're not motivated? They don't have the capability to help themselves. And the future iterations of the program, the reason why we spend so much time is because we actually teach people how to be their own therapist, anyway, be their own diagnoser and solutions person without ever coming to me. And so the way we structure the program, the course, how the course goes, is all towards that goal. Is teaching people how to be more self-sustainable. And in fact, now I spend less than 30 minutes a day on coaching calls. As the community grows, they can help each other out. And the structure of your program should allow you to actually work less as you get more clients, because you get more user-generated content, you get the community growing, and you should also get more insights into how you can improve your course so that people can help themselves better. Some people get results without even talking to me once, which is kind of a weird concept.
It is, but it isn't. I noticed that too. There's so many clients that we have inside of the Authority Accelerator program where they enroll, they study our curriculum. I never see them on a coaching call. And then all of a sudden they're like, yep, we just hit $20,000 a month. And I'm like, where were you?
Or like you get this referral from someone. It's like, who was this guy?
Yes.
Who was the guy that referred me?
Yeah. But I think that goes to your earlier point of, it's about the quality of the clients you bring in, and the people you bring in should be so warm and so ready and so invested in doing the work that they don't necessarily have to rely on you to get the results that they're looking for, because that's not sustainable. And what you said, I mean, that's something that we preach all the time. It's like, I have 2 options, really. I'm going to give you the fish, or I'm going to teach you to fish. What lasts longer? Mm-hmm. If you're starving and you're out in the wilderness, no one's going to hand you a fish. You got to figure it out for yourself in order to survive.
Yeah. But I guess in business too, or in relationships, whatever niche you're in, right? I think to be successful with something, you have to understand how to improvise.
Yes.
Be in the moment and act in the moment. And if you're relying on me to do that, I mean, I'm never going to get your results if that's my approach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you become, just like you said, become the scientist of your own business, which is a principle that I harp on, because then you know how to pivot, which levers to pull, because everybody's business is a little bit different. But the basic fundamentals of how to do this and grow, and why our program has worked so well for so many people, is because the fundamentals are there. You know exactly what you need to do. And then you also are monitoring your data so much, and you know your clients so well, that if something starts to maybe go a little off kilter, you can course correct very quickly.
Yeah.
This is a little bit controversial, but if you have an audience and you launch a course, whatever the quality of the course is, you're going to make money. But to be able to sustain results, create an actual impact, that takes truly understanding who you're working with and the impact that you want to make in the long term.
Yeah. And I think so you brought a good point too. So if you go to our website right now, I can bet you can spot some typos on there. In 18 months, we never fixed it. Because what we saw was when we fixed it, Sunny, the people who, like, right now we get emails from people like, oh, you have a typo. I choose not to work with you because you have a typo. It's like, and then I thought, hey, that's actually great because it weeds out the people who are actually not serious.
Yes.
So it's also seeing the whole system of your funnel, saying like, okay, what gives me the best clients and the best client results? It's not just about the numbers. So it's how, you can be a better scientist and look at the more factors into your business in that sense. So that's funny too. We get like so many emails saying like, hey, I can fix your website. It's like, I don't want you to fix it. This is fine just the way it is. I don't want more conversion rate.
I mean, honestly, you're speaking my language, Geoffrey, because my website, and my team knows this. My team here is here right now. It's embarrassing. And I haven't updated it since 2015. So I'm like, I don't really care. And my website doesn't do much for me. Like the leads are coming from other places. And so my website is not a main priority. And if somebody's coming to me being like, I'm not going to work with you because your bio's outdated, I'm like, okay, bye then. Like we don't need to work together. Thank you so much. See you later. That's a really funny point and a very true point. So I totally relate to you on that. We're going to wrap up shortly because I want to be respectful of the time. We have 2 more points to go through, 2 key takeaways out of the 5 that got Geoffrey from 0 to $1 million in revenue in 18 months, 1.2 million now. But I did want to remind you all and also invite you guys, if you are interested in being a part of the Authority Accelerator, if you put apply in the chat right now, in the comments right now, a member of my team will drop the link in the reply to you to actually apply for the program. And I've got it on the screen as well. So if you type this into your search bar, you can go there and fill out an application. If you're unfamiliar with the Authority Accelerator, it's our program that basically is a business in a box. It's everything that I've learned from my almost 5 years now and $15 million in revenue in online course sales of starting, growing, and scaling a business organically. And it's the same methodology that Geoffrey has used to go from 0 to 1.2 million in 18 months. So it's everything that you need. Even if you aren't sure what your niche is, we really help you with that, all the way up to when to hire, who to hire, and all of those things, which I know you've done as well. And you've now got a team, which is really exciting too. So link is on the screen. And if you are interested in applying for the Authority Accelerator, put apply into the comments now. And I'll also drop the link in there as well for you to click on. All right. So let's get into the last 2 points here. The 4th point that you made, the fourth takeaway is the value of understanding your client and your customer best. And so we've talked about this. Is there anything that you wanted to add on that?
I think that's it. I think the one thing I would add is you can always go deeper in understanding your client. So here's a really great example. If you look at all the videos and all the materials around why relationships break down, they will say it's because you have a communication issue. What I did was I went one step deeper and I said, well, why are people having a communication issue? And so we found there the basis of our core of our program, which is creating what we call emotional safety. People are not communicating because either one or both persons are not willing or able to share what their true thoughts are, right? And so that's, if I just take a look at, in the beginning, if we just take a look at all the people, what the people were saying, and I just said, okay, well, that must be the core because people said that was the core. I would not have a business like this today. But because we went 1 step deeper, 2 steps deeper, and really asked ourselves why people are struggling, you get to understand them better and you get to show them a level of their experience, their problems that they never have felt before. And when you can open their eyes to a new level they've never been exposed to, that's when the magic really happens. That's when the trust really gets built there.
I could not agree with you more. I love that so much. The final thing that you said, which I'm just like, hallelujah, amen, preach, is chase processes, not revenues. Explain further on that.
Yeah. I don't know who said this, but he said, the value of your business is not the amount of money you make. It's the processes you have. So, the process that you build for your business, whether that's the process of the program itself, how you deliver the value to your clients, your marketing process, your training process, your testimonial process, whatever. You have so many different layers of processes. There is an intrinsic value there that you cannot touch. Let's say that value for me right now is probably about 140K. If I have a low month of, let's say I'm trending towards 90K, I don't care because I know the intrinsic value hasn't changed. So you can use that thinking to really keep you calm during the bad moments. But also when you're going on a high, realize that don't start buying a bunch of stuff and like hiring a bunch of people, because like you should always have an idea of what the intrinsic value is. And we don't really spend too much time thinking about how much money we earn. We look at it once a week as just a data point. But what we think about every day is, what process do we need to improve? And we just go ham on that process, and that's it. We are so untethered to the revenues, whatever it is. We don't care how much we make. We just think about what needs to get done today to grow the intrinsic value of the process and scientifically grow it as well. And that's all we care about. I think that's it. I think that's the crux of it, because too many people chase the revenues. Yeah.
And truly, why I love the way that you put that so much is because if you chase the processes and you continue to make your processes and your product the best in the market, the revenue comes. It will never not be there for you. It will never not grow. If you chase the processes, the revenue is inevitable. And if you chase results for your clients, that equates to revenue all day, every day. And I know that's what you've done. I do want to open it up for a few questions. So we are going to do that. Just to recap Geoffrey's story. So Geoffrey created his program 18 months ago and started from zero. So zero business, zero authority, zero audience, zero revenue. And he is now doing between 130 to 150K a month consistently, no launches, just completely evergreen. And he's crossed $1.2 million in revenue with his online course business, starting from absolute scratch. I'm so happy for you. I know there's some really big things that have happened both on your team and then personally. I know on your team, you've expanded from just yourself to now having some team members. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah. I think I got this idea from you to hire your clients. So that's what I did. So I took the most successful people in the program and I just started to hire them. The hard part about doing that approach is that they may not be the most tech savvy or understanding like digital marketing or the technology side of things, which is totally fine. I would rather have them know me very well and trust me and buy into the business myself and know the program well and then train them on the technical side than the other way around. So we have a team of 3, including myself right now. One does sales, one does all the back-end stuff, the day-to-day stuff with me. I don't think we're gonna hire anyone else for quite a while. I think we have everything moving like a machine. Yeah.
Where are you at in terms of revenue when you hired your first team member?
I was at 25 to 40K. Not much. Right. Because I learned this lesson earlier on in my life, is that you gotta plan for something before that you need it. Whenever it's like drinking, when you're thirsty, it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna drink water before you get thirsty. It's kind of the same thing. Before you need a salesperson, hire that.
Yeah.
And that will really tell you too whether you trust in your process or not. If you don't trust in your process because you try too many things at once, that will show, because you can't step to the next step confidently.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And the next thing is obviously on a personal level, which I'm so excited for you. Do you want to share that announcement as well?
Is it about the house?
Yeah.
Or yeah. So we're building our starter home, a not so humble starter home.
It's a not so humble starter home. I saw the renderings. I was like, Geoffrey, this is a nice house.
Yeah. So we're building our first home. I think it'll be ready by mid next year. But this house is going to have all the best bells and whistles. Like the builder was like, oh, do you want this upgrade? Do you want this upgrade? We just said yes.
Yes to all.
Yes to all.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I'm finally seeing figures that I can't really wrap my head around. It's a nice feeling to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I also it's funny. So again, if you have questions for either Geoffrey or myself, feel free to drop them in the comments right now. But it's a funny thing. I don't even know if you noticed you said this, but just a couple of minutes ago, you were saying, if you have a month where you're not maybe on trend or tracking to do what your projection is, which is maybe, let's say 150K, and you're going to do like 90K, you got to, just be aware of that. And you kind of said like, that's a bad month. And I was like, I wonder if Geoffrey, the first version of you that I spoke to on the phone, and you were like, I just don't want this to be crickets, would feel like 90K was a bad month.
Yeah. It's funny too, the changes in what you expect out of the business, out of your life, this changes very subconsciously too. Like 90K for us now is like a terrible month, but then it would be an amazing month before.
Right.
But I think that's part of the growth process, is that you change your standards. Like you have to change your standards if you want to keep pushing yourself to the next level. Yes. It's not to say you were never satisfied. You're proud, but also never satisfied. And that's totally fine, I think.
I think so too. And it is. I always say that it's new level, new devil. And there's always going to be unique challenges with each step of the way. And it's really important just to stay grounded amongst it all. And live your life in a way where you have that security to know, okay, well, I'm doing very well, but I'm not like buying crazy things, and I'm not going crazy with my business. I'm not hiring all the people to put that extra stress on yourself. So I have a couple questions that have come in. I did want to go through a few of these. Ryan Stewart, who is in the Authority Accelerator. So hi, Ryan. I don't know if I fully understand your question. You said, what made you bless you with the Authority Accelerator? I don't know what that means, but if you want to ask it again, let me know. Geoffrey's niche is, how would you best describe it?
So we deal with relationships and marriages, so long-term relationships and marriages, and we direct it towards men. So these are people who, if you look at a lot of therapists and so on, they usually take you as a couple. We take the clients who are beyond that, who their partners have given up, and this is the sole person, the sole guy trying to save the relationship, and we help them do that.
I love it. Tessa asked, and you can let me know if you don't want to share this, but you kind of already have. Tessa Smith asked, McGovern asked, is it rude to ask about net profit? So we already went over that Geoffrey's not spending any money on ads. Do you feel comfortable answering that question?
Yeah. So I would say business expenses is probably 1 to 2% of our total revenues. Like this is like Thinkific, the course portal, ClickFunnels, all these things, 1 to 2%, very minimal. The majority of it is going to be people. So people costs are about 15 to 17% right now of the business. And the rest is pure profits. The challenge I have right now, it's not profits. The challenge I have right now is taxation. We're getting taxed. We're going to get taxed a lot. And that's the challenge. So the margins are extremely high.
I hear you. That is a funny little champagne problem for sure. What did you focus on most in the Authority Accelerator program? Ruth wants to
know. So when I joined your program, Sunny, I already knew kind of some of the philosophies around course creation, program creation. So what I really focused on was really the YouTube side and the marketing side of things. What I really loved, though, was how lean the business that you are trying to build is. So first of all, you have your YouTube videos, you have your guides, content, freebies, you have your funnel, and you have your program, and you have your testimonials. It's really those parts. What I got from you, Sunny, was, and to this day, my funnel is exactly how you line it up. Like I literally took your website and the funnel examples that you gave, I just understood, okay, what is the thing that she's trying to express here? Okay, she's trying to express, let's say, client stories here. or the problem here, the solution here. And I just plug and play that to my own business, and I haven't changed it since day one. And it's doing fine. And so that there's so many intangibles, there's so many things that I can't put my finger on that you helped me with just to get started. So that's incredible, because that would have taken honestly 10 times the time for me to do, for me to craft, test, and so on.
Right.
That's the most incredible part.
Yeah. And I think that's why we call it a business in a box. I'm like, I literally am going to hand deliver you everything that you need to make this work, and also keep it very simple. And I want to reiterate too that yes, Geoffrey has this funnel, but you didn't start by having the funnel. You didn't even put the funnel into place until you had your clients under your belt. And that's a big piece of how we work is let's reduce the friction. You don't need all the tech at the beginning. You can actually get a bunch of clients in the door, get a bunch of testimonials and social proof without having any tech at all. And I think that's really important to understand, especially if you're in the beginning phases, because that piece can just delay results and delay proof and testing of your program actually working. What was? Oh, sorry. Do you want to ask me?
Yeah, just one more thing, because my partner is actually starting her own coaching business right now, and I got to see another person like kind of starting from the ground up in another niche, which is interesting. And the question I think was, what is the one thing you learn, and what are the few things you learn? It's not just a few things. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to get the full system right. But the problem is that, in the beginning at least, there's not like a clear-cut answer of you need to work on this first and this. You have these 5 pieces together, and they all have to stay afloat at one time. You have to kind of make it click at one time. And so it's a chicken or the egg problem where, for example, you can't know your niche if you don't have clients, but you can't have clients if you don't know your niche. Well, you have to struggle in the beginning to synthesize everything, to get everything afloat. And that was what I think you helped me to do, was you helped me get, like, you have 10 buoys here that I need to get afloat. You helped me get like 6 to 7 of them afloat, because I can use your proven templates. Then I need to think about the other 3, and that made it so much easier for me. I think that's my point I was trying to make. Yeah.
I love that. That totally makes sense. Thank you. What was your time investment when building your business? That's a hard question to answer, but do you have an idea?
So I would take myself back 5 years ago. I was still in my job, and any free time I had, I would try to write that book, basically, or write a blog. And that was how I was able to iterate and really grow my own knowledge of the niche of what I'm going to talk about. When I quit my job, and then when I found you, Sunny, that was when I had already taken another program around building a program. At that point in time, I spent a year doing it. And when I found you, that was when I already had the message down. I already had the niche down, and I just needed a mechanism to market that, to really build trust and authority on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before the 18 months is really 4 years, 5 years back.
Yeah.
Of obsessing about this. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll say too, like, we're on version 4 of the Authority Accelerator. It's something that, and I preach this all the time, and you're doing it right now, it's a constant evolution. And so I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for over a decade. I've been in the online course space for almost 5 years, and I learn new things all the time and new techniques and tactics. And I'm talking to my clients so much, and I'm so involved with my clients that there's always ways to improve. And so it's hard to quantify, because you're constantly in that scientist mindset of what can I do to make all of this better?
Yeah. But I think to the person who asked that question, that is what I call a TBU, a true but useless, right? It's like whenever I get clients, for example, asking like, how long did it take you to save your marriage? It was like, well, your marriage is different. The way you learn is different. Your niche is different. Like, everything is different. But what I can say is, if the spirit behind that question is, when should I keep going, or when should I give up? The only thing I always say to people is, if you have ways to pivot, like big pivots, I'm not talking about small pivots like changing a color on your website, like big pivots. If you have somewhere to pivot, keep going. The moment you stop is when you don't have anywhere to pivot. That's when you stop. Yeah.
I love that. I said that in my last YouTube video. I was like, I don't really believe that there's ever a time to quit unless you literally have nowhere else to go and nowhere else to turn. But if you look at my trajectory as an entrepreneur, it's been a comedy of pivots. Like everything that I've done has been a pivot until I landed on the thing that really started to gain momentum and work. And I'm still constantly evolving it at the same time. Ryan Stewart said, what made you bless us with the Authority Accelerator? Honestly, the truth of that is because I've been in the space so long, I think it just became really glaringly obvious to me, and doing a lot of market research and doing other programs, especially, it became glaringly obvious to me that there was a big gap in the marketplace when it came down to course creation. And one of the things that I do feel is a unique genius for me in our program is we are very good at finding unique and uncopyable approaches to creating your program. And we have all of the pieces in place, and we give you all of the things to truly scale it. But if you don't have clear messaging and you don't have a clear idea of who you're trying to reach in the beginning, everything else is going to break or it's going to grow really slowly. So I think seeing that gap in the marketplace and also doing this by myself and testing so many different things, I was like, man, if I could go back in time and have this at my fingertips, I would not have had to waste so much time figuring it out. So that was a big reason. Okay, Jamara's asked, what is your value ladder like? I mean, I don't believe in value ladders. So I don't have one. Do you have one?
What's a value ladder? I'm sorry.
I think it's like a low level program to like, oh, if you buy this, then we're going to pitch you on this. I think that's what it is. I don't have one.
We don't have one as well.
Yeah. It's one program. I'm a big believer in having one core program. Yes, I have YouTube for Bosses, so it's a little bit different, but our core program and 98% of our revenue comes from the Authority Accelerator, which is our main program. It's our highest ticket program. So, and
also,
for you,
it's like
one program, I think.
Yeah, we're so busy just dealing with one program. I don't want to have another program.
It's having two businesses. I always say that to people. I'm like, no matter if you're selling a $19 course or a $20,000 course, you are inevitably going to be doing the same amount of work for very little return or very high return.
And the other reason I think we don't want to do that too is even with a high ticket program, even when we're so selective with our clients, there's still some bad apples. Yes. I can't imagine how many bad apples there would be if we had a lower ticket program. And if we have so many bad apples in that, there's no freaking way that can be good for your image long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Couldn't agree more. Pedro says, we're running our program on a limited number of enrollments per class, and our clients love the class feeling. How can you scale them while maintaining that feeling to free you more to do other things? I certainly can answer this question, but I know, Geoffrey, this is something that you actually struggled with when you started, because you were like, how do I approach this in a way that's scalable, in a way that's a group setting, and in a way that's completely evergreen? Do you want to try and tackle that?
So I think a lot of the fears people have around group and privacy is self-made. This is what you think. So I'm in the relationships niche, not just in relationships. I'm in marriages and long-term relationships. This is by far the most private thing you can imagine talking about. And one of the things we introduced in our program was not only so group coaching calls, but also we introduced us sharing calls with our other coaches to each other. And I'm surprised at how many people said yes. I haven't had one person say no, right, to doing that. In fact, that's the biggest asset to the program, is the fact that people can learn from each other. I think that teaches each other how to learn, first and foremost. It teaches you how a lot of the principles you teach gets practiced in real life. So I would just say to this person, just take a leap. Like you're going to have so many thoughts around, well, here's why it can't work. Here's why it can't work. Here's the privacy things. People don't care. People just want the results. And if you can position it to where you can say, hey, this is a great way for you to get results. Let's try it. You'll be very surprised at how open people are. Just take the leap.
And we've had a lot of people do that transition out of like cohort models, meaning that people all enroll at the same time, to the Evergreen process that we teach. And I would say another big benefit of it, Pedro, is you basically are able to create built-in accountability and mentorship, because your clients who have been in the program for longer are then able to support and guide the clients who are new. And that is invaluable. It's incredible. And I will say our community inside the Authority Accelerator, I say this all the time, but it really is an incredible place. It's a magical place where everyone is so supportive of one another and we're all here to see each other win. So yes, I'm in there and I'm supporting the clients, but sometimes it's even better to hear it firsthand experience. I know Geoffrey's been super helpful to a lot of our newer clients as well when they have questions, because he's been there, he's done that, and he's been through it. So having that built in makes it amazing, and you're not getting a bunch of new people who have no idea what they're doing all at one time, which creates a lot of chaos and a lot of dependency on you as the course creator.
Yeah, and one more thing on that too. When people go on the application call or the sales call and the question they ask is, am I going to be able to talk to you, or is this more of a group thing?
Yeah.
That usually tells me to where they're coming from. Are they trying to be self-sustainable, or are they not? Are they trying to use me as a first resort or not? It shows a lot about their motivations. And if you push back on them and they don't want to buy the program because of that, maybe not the best client anyway.
100%. Yeah. You mentioned being tech savvy. I'm not tech savvy. Can you still do the program? Absolutely. We have a lot of people inside of our program who are not the most tech savvy. And that's why we do it the way that we do, because the whole first phase of the program is meant to get your program off the ground, get cash flow, client results, and confidence in selling your offer without any tech. So, or very, very minimal tech. I wanted to make it as frictionless as possible. And then once you have that cash flow in the bank and you're not feeling so stressed out and you're not trying to prove that your offer is going to work, then you move into actually creating your evergreen business. All right, I'm going to wrap it up because we're going way over. And Geoffrey, I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you. I know we've gone way over time. We have one more question I want to answer, which is, Cherokee, what do you seek for applicants in your program, like character traits, skills, work ethics? For me, the biggest thing that I always say is I'm looking for people with radical accountability. That's really the biggest factor, because the program works. I mean, Geoffrey's proof of it. Everyone else that we've talked to is proof of it. We do this once a month. I mean, we have, as Geoffrey said, we have client results coming out the wazoo. So I always say it's special snowflake syndrome when you think, oh, well, it worked for them, but it won't work for me. Why? It's a proven methodology. It works, period, end of story. You just have to do the work, and you have to take accountability for your own success, which Geoffrey has done beautifully. So if you are thinking about applying and you're sitting there right now going, I wonder if this could work for me. As I said to Geoffrey on that very first phone call we had, when he had no audience and he had no business and no revenue, and he said, Sunny, I just don't want this to launch to crickets. I am going to tell you right now, if you have a story, you have a niche and you have a business. And if you have that, I know that our methodology, because it's been proven time and time again in so many different niches, it will get you where you want to go, but you have to be ready and willing to do the work. So apply, because what's the worst that could happen if you do apply? Maybe we'll tell you, okay, now's not the right time. That's okay. At least you know, but apply. Like, take that time to apply today, because if you think this is something that you may want to do, imagine where you could be 18 months from now. So I know, Geoffrey, for him, this is super surreal, but I was like, I know you're going to do well. And I mean, I'm so glad to be talking to you today, because you are now a millionaire.
Yeah. No, I remember one more thing to leave with your audience here. When I first joined your program, I remember thinking, man, there's so many superstars here. There's so many people earning so much money who grew from nothing. And I never thought I was going to be one of those. But the program works because once you go into the community, you just see success. You don't see people failing that much.
No, you really don't. It's win after win after win on a daily basis. It's an insane community. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And incredibly supportive. So if you want to see Geoffrey and I on the inside, hit that apply link. Thank you, Geoffrey. You're the best. I'm so grateful, and I'm so inspired by you, and I'm so happy to call you a client, and more than that, a friend, I think, at this point. And I think I'm happier for your success than you even are at this point. And just know that my whole team was here watching, and they just love you. And so we're just beyond stoked for you. And I can't wait to do another update and see where you are, 6 months from now. So yeah. Lots of love to you and your girlfriend, and good luck on the house. Keep me posted.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Sunny.
Bye.
Have a good one.